Hi, welcome back. So we are in the second outline of Section 2, Philosophy of Framework, in Chapter 5, Framework and Research Design. So in this outline, we're going to discuss the philosophy of conceptual framework. Let me take you to the following illustration. We have statements here is given that there are three teaching methods. The first one is formal teaching method, casual teaching method, and free teaching method, and all of which were put into test on the students' performance in terms of their good score or practical application. We would like to induct or conduct, it doesn't matter for now, a research to find whether there is a relationship between the teaching method and the student performance. How would we start? First of all, as we have learned so far, we need to identify the main element of the research. So this is the first task that we have to take into consideration. To do so, according to the statements is giving, it's quite clear that we have a teaching method is one element, and those methods are three of them. There is the formal, casual, and free. So these are the three teaching method we have. And then also we have, of course, the students, as we given in the statements, performance. You see something is missing here. Of course, it's quite clear since we have a teaching methods as given in this box, and we have the receiver in terms of a student's performance. That's the students as the receiver. We need a delivery. We need the subject that is delivering the teaching method, and of course that would be the teacher. So now the image better clear on those three main elements or component of our research. This is step one. What is the second step before we move further? We need a way to quantify each of those elements, as we have discussed earlier. Quantification of a variable to identify the quantity of each variable is very important skills. And this is maybe the first practical example to show you. So how can we quantify a teacher? Well, I have perhaps the age of the teacher is one element, maybe the gender, maybe the education background, in number years of experience, etc. You could see that a vector of element that I just can assume, all of which quantify the element of a teacher. The second thing I have to do is to quantify these teaching methods, the formal, the casual, and the free. How to quantify them? So for example, what I can do, I can look at certain elements. If there is specific book, only one is used, and there is regular homework to be delivered, and there is regular tests or quizzes or whatever, etc. If those elements are met, that means it is a formal way of teaching. For example, being casual, if there is maybe one specific book, but also we have access to alternative different books, maybe we have a kind of free exam or test presentation, for example, etc. If those elements are met, then this is a casual. If free, for example, there is no specific book. It could be any material. There is an open examination or test. There is a free delivery or presentation, project, etc. So if any of these elements are met, then this is a free teaching method. Next, how can I measure a student's performance? I think it's given quite clear here in the statements that I would like to measure in terms of the score or in terms of the practical application. For example, given practical application problems, students are able really to deliver the project or not, etc. So of course the scores can be measured by a numerical standard way. So now we have a complete control on each of those components. We will call them elements of variables that define the space of this research. Now, what are we missing here? It's quite clear we are missing directions, or what's called the arrows. We don't know what kind of direction or arrow is connecting these elements together. Before we reach out to this, let's discuss what is the definition of this image that we have on the screen. This is what is known as a conceptual framework. So the conceptual framework is to decide the number of factors, or in other words, variables, which you believe are contributing to answer your research aim. As we did, we defined the teachers, the teaching method, the students' performance. Then we want to decide the measurement. And if the variable is not quantified, such as, for example, happiness, we shall design what's so-called an instrument to measure. In the previous illustration, we defined a certain checklist, such as using a book or a presentation or etc. Then this is a formal way of teaching. But later on we will see in such a problem like to define happiness, we need to design what's so-called an instrument to do that. We have just constructed or built what's so-called the conceptual framework. Let's go ahead next and explore how to define the theoretical framework. I will see you then.